Beautiful job, Joy. Thanks so much. And thanks for everybody sharing. Love these stories. This is why we do this. We all tune in. What are we going to hear this week? Because it's always different. We just never know. But like Terry, I wish I'd had these years ago, and especially this hormone topic. I chose this topic because I really thought I had Alzheimer's, and I thought I was destined for a home, and I was struggling, and I really was searching, and I wish I knew now, and then what I know now, right? So we're just going to talk a little bit about what is a hormone. So really, it's a chemical substance that our body is releasing from a cell or a gland, and that sends out a message through our bloodstream to a different part of the body, triggering it to do what it's supposed to do. Here's the reality. Those things don't always work as they should, as you'll see in a minute. But this is a female anatomy here showing you the endocrine system and, pituitary gland, hypothalamus, the pineal gland. Those are the real drivers of these hormones. That actually lives in the brain. There is the thyroid, there's the adrenals, and all these other things throughout the body, but the messaging comes from the brain. And as you're going to see in a little bit, that messaging is very dependent on the health of your stomach and the nutrient absorption to get the right messaging into that brain so that the hormones work right. And I like this. It's a little bit overwhelming, I know, if you're looking at it for the first time, but it is showing you, you have the hypothalamus, the thyroid, but the liver, the kidney, the pancreas, the stomach, all of this is intertwined in this hormonal health. And this is, if you're a man, you have the testy. If you're the woman, you have the uterus. But a lot of these other ones are pertinent to both sexes. And I just never really realized that the hormones were so critical for men as well. But just like Joy showed you how we lose half of our stem cells by age 35, you can start to see a decline here. And we can see where men at age 18, they are well ahead of women at age 20. Look, the man is fully on with the hormones. The woman is about 10 years behind. And then you can see the decline through life. But that balance is critically important as we go through life. And you're going to see why here in a few minutes. But I like this slide here, even though it's grainy, apologize for that. But this is showing if you have low testosterone or low estrogen. So of course, the women, the estrogen, the men, the testosterone, there's an overlap. When we're low, we're tired. We have mood swings, brain fog. Our brain isn't working like it should. But there's a commonality with night sweats and loss of muscle strength, dryness, different things. So I just want to touch on a variety of things that can happen when we have these hormonal imbalances, because it can be weight gain, but it can be weight loss too. And it can be low libido. And in some people that have the opposite direction of hormonal, it can be excessive. Anxiety, mood swings, depression, insomnia, that quality sleep is so critical. We just did an autoimmune system one, actually, I believe it was 2 weeks ago. But that sleep time is when our body's purging toxins. And if you're not sleeping because your hormones are out of balance, you're setting yourself up for a cascade of issues. And the good news is these patches, as you've heard tonight, really can address the sleep. That's critical. Digestion, hugely important for that signaling to the brain, which you'll see in a minute. That hunger craving, that can be a big trigger when our hormones are out of whack. The sweats, the fatigue. And this is to show you what X39 was able to do for this young lady. This is cystic hormonal acne. I live with that for my life. Until these patches, I had it still in my 50s, if you can imagine how embarrassing. But this young woman, it got balanced for her in 6 weeks. Mind you, she has a lot more stem cells than I did at 50, but that is working with that to balance and regenerate. This gentleman, his hair, that thinning of hair is a hormonal imbalance, and we can bring that back. That was 5 weeks for him. So real quickly, when we have high hormone levels, we have acne, excessive hair, high blood pressure. We also can have anxiety, depression, mood swings. When we don't have enough hormones, so we're in that low level, we can have, hot and cold feet, constipation, heart rate, depression, mood swings, memory. It hits in so many different ways. But for men, what they tend to see with a hormonal imbalance is irritability, depression, anxiety, mood swings, anger issues. And I've heard so many moms dealing with teenage young adult sons with anger. I believe it's more of a hormonal issue. I don't necessarily think they're angry young people, but they are just dealing with chemical imbalances in their body. Hair loss, fatigue, insomnia, memory, and prostate issues are all attributable to hormone imbalances. And then there's another condition in men where it's high estrogen. And that really is setting them up for some very scary ones like stroke, heart disease, and that can cause them to store the excess calories around the midsection, which is never healthy for any of us. Our organs are more vulnerable to that. But the loss of muscle tone is a big one. And then that loss of muscle tone actually is a challenge because then it makes it harder to burn those calories off the less muscle you have. And rebuilding that muscle becomes very hard when you get into this estrogen cycle. But we are dealing also with enlarged prostate that can also attribute to prostate cancer, constant fatigue. But we're going to talk about how we fix these things. We're sharing the worst right now, right? But we're going to get to the good news. So bear with me just a couple more minutes. But the environment we live in, whether you're a man or a woman, our non-organic meat, our dairy products can be attributors to estrogen. Plastic food containers, never, ever heat anything in plastic, please, in the microwave. And I'm starting to phase out plastic entirely. Even a receipt from the store has estrogen in it. If you can imagine my purse, my desk right now full of these receipts. I had no idea I needed to go wash my hands. Tap water. We really don't want to drink tap water. There's so many different chemicals and things in there that can be estrogen receptors. Cosmetics and soap, anything we put on our skin in 7 seconds is in our bloodstream. But food cans are also problematic. Joy found this slide, and it's really talking about all the many forms of estrogen that enter the bodies of our water sources that then, of course, we consume as humans, but that's attributing to hormonal imbalance, our metabolism disorder, psychological disorder, reproductive issues, hypertension, aggression, depression, all of that coming out of our water system, but it's also affecting our aquatic system in the fish. And then we eat those fish. And then we're agricultural, how they grow things, they have to use water. They're using that water, and sadly, most of that's unfiltered. And that's why some of our food sources are not as good as they used to be. There are ways that you can block these estrogen receptors, especially if you're somebody dealing with the high levels. And a lot of these, we love them if they're natural. And if they come in pill form, mm, maybe not so much. You can't fool Mother Nature, and the pharmaceuticals can trigger new problems down the road. And I know some folks that are dealing with, the fast-growing cells like tamoxifen and things. They can be really great, but they can be problematic as well. But we really want to talk about prevention. Let's not get there. If we can get ahead of this, we don't need to worry about that. So there are several things you can do, but eating clean food is very important. Non-toxic personal care products, especially us women with our makeup stuff. Try and find things like that Alavita system. They're very, very clean. Yeah, alcohol intake is very problematic. Not filtering your water, so always filter your water. A liver cleanse, once a year, I listened to a naturopath and he said, you know what, my mom or my mother, my mom, my wife and I do every year on New Year's Day is we do a liver cleanse. And I thought, wow, how anticlimactic is that? But really is what he's doing is he's setting up his year for good health, right? There are supportive supplements, of course, but there's foods. So if you're dealing with cortisol, seek out avocado, fatty fish, spinach, um, carrots, really good. Green tea for estrogen, citrus and eggs for progesterone, melatonin, pistachios, sardines, mushrooms. A lot of good things come from food. Um, Testosterone boosters. So if you're a man and you are dealing with that low T, so you can do fasting. Fasting is a really good trigger. You would want to do a guided fast, and you should do some reading on that, maybe work with your doctor before you engage in that. But magnesium, critically important. Our magnesium is farmed out of our food, and we really need that in our body. Zinc is important. Weightlifting, rebuilding that muscle, critically important to getting that testosterone, I can't talk, testosterone back. Liver detoxes, iodine, really important, vitamin D and ashwagandha. Another word I cannot say, but I think you know what I mean. But there are so many good things you can do for brain health. I mean, there's so many of these good feel good things like dopamine. Listen to music, get your body moving, get good sleep and eat enough protein. Oxytocin, that's a mood stabilizer. That's that feel good after a woman's had a baby and it's there to help us bond with that baby. You get that same effect though if you have dinner with friends or your family. You give somebody a hug, dance. Serotonin, that's that love, happiness hormone, yoga. Yet nature, and for me, I'm all about the sun, and that's why Joy moved to Maui. We can't get enough of this good sun, and where we live, we crave this. So we're going to talk in a minute about patches and how they can play a role in that. But your endorphins can really help your body and they can be a form of a painkiller. But dark chocolate can bring that about, exercise, laughing, and being creative. So what we're going to talk about now is, LifeWave and where does this come in this finding balance in the body? And the word is homeostasis. And Chinese medicine has known about this for years, but that patches help ward off toxins in the body, negative impacts of the environment, epigenetics, things we inherit through our DNA. And it helps reset our body to a younger, healthy state. That repair timeline, though, is always unique to that individual for all the reasons I've just said. We can't prescribe for you exactly how long it's going to be until you notice it. But I'll tell you, the minute you put these on, they go to work. And this combination right here, especially for men trying to regenerate that testosterone, this combination, incredibly powerful. It gets your body building lean muscle mass. The Alavita, this is my personal favorite. Besides X39, I sleep with this every night between my eyebrows. It is decalcifying the pineal gland. If you know anything about that gland, it's a fountain of youth trigger. And it helps your body know that it needs to reproduce the collagen, hyaluronic acid. But it's also helping with that melatonin elevation and regulating your endocrine system. And it just does so many good things. It also elongates telomeres, if anybody knows about that. That is really tied to longevity. But autoimmune and hormones, they go hand in hand. Now, those autoimmune issues come from toxins. You see a whole chart here. But the ones that are tied in with our hormones are in this list here. Joy and I just learned today, type 1 diabetes. We did not realize that. But lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, Hashimoto's. And we've had a number of people regenerate their thyroids and their Hashimoto's has gone away in a matter of time. Now, again, I'm making no medical claims. I'm making no promises. I'm just letting you know what we have observed. But hormonal contraceptives can be very problematic for autoimmune. And inflammation can suppress testosterone. Chronic pain and inflammation can be a sign of a hormonal imbalance. So if that's something you deal with, get those looked at. This is a chart showing if you have low glutathione. We all have glutathione. It resides in our liver. And I'm shocked how many doctors don't get trained on this. But look at this yellow box here. All of these conditions, diabetes, pancreatitis, all the thyroid issues are all stemming from a low glutathione. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But hi, honey, love you. We have a gut regeneration system, which my bonus daughter, Angie, helped me really understand and witness what the power of the gut and these 4 patches on the stomach is all about. But what it's doing is it's helping to repair gut imbalance. It's detoxifying, it's reducing inflammation, balancing that endocrine system, and controlling the blood sugar and the cravings. These 4 patches are worn. We start out with 18 days. And here's my bonus daughter. And she wasn't living her best life. She was struggling. And I had her wear these patches. 18 days later, she fit in those skinny little jeans. She lost 35 pounds. Now, this is about gut health. I told you the importance of absorbing those nutrients so the brain is getting the signaling, right? That's what this is about. But the byproduct, when you get that body in balance, the weight starts taking care of itself. And a lot of that is water weight, inflammation, swelling, and toxins. And by April, she had lost 70 pounds. So let's talk a little bit about this glutathione. It is a game changer for so many conditions out there. It's the body's master antioxidant. It's opening the pathways intended to get the toxins out of the body. It's strengthening the immune system, and it can elevate your own glutathione, this patch, in 24 hours. Mind you, you only wear them for 12 hours, like Joy said, but it keeps working after you take it off. This SP6, which Terry was singing the praises of, I love it. I eat so much less when I have this on my body because it's helping to manage the insulin response and the pancreas. And you can see here the statistical information from 1 week. They found that the liver, the pancreas, and the kidneys improved by 97%. Function of the thyroid, the intestines, and the hypothalamus in excess of 87%. The adrenal glands, about 75%. So that's powerful. That is just signaling. That's the body making the adjustment. These patches are just a tool to help the body in that signaling. So hormones are really about balance. We really want to have that good, healthy diet, get exercise, and feel good. So now we want to open this up, and I'm going to stop sharing here in just a moment. And we are going to do a question and answer, and we're going to help people. If there's anybody here that would like to get started and would like to order, these are our new kits. So our core, like Joy mentioned, for $295, the advanced for $535, or the premium. And that's just basically buying you multiple months of patches up front in that premium to get you the lowest cost. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and then I am going to stop the recording.